Hello, Tar Heel Nation. This is your host, Dan DeWitt. Welcome to another episode, the 42nd episode of UNC Hoops Talk. I'm glad that you have joined and are listening to me, listening to this podcast, and hopefully you enjoy it and will subscribe, support, share, all those good things. Today we're going to recap that UK game. Unfortunately, we'll talk briefly about the UNCG game against Wes Miller and his team. And then we are going to preview the Ohio State game and match up with them this weekend. We'll look at the rest of the non-conference games for this calendar year. And then I'm going to give a little bit of my opinion on Joel James. There's been decent amount of talk about him recently, and then also talk a little bit on the Marcus Paige struggles and my opinion and 2 cents on that topic. So let's jump right in. If you would ever want to connect with me, easy to do, just about everywhere you can do it. So no matter where you are, go ahead and connect with me someplace. On Twitter, it is at @AllTarHeelDan. On Google Plus, it's just my name, Dan DeWitt. Go ahead and check out the blog. It's unchoopstalk.blogspot.com. Shoot me an email, send feedback, questions, comments, anything like that, unchoopstalk@gmail.com. Of course, the youtube.com/unchoopstalk. And also you can listen to the audio podcast on iTunes. Just search UNC Hoops Talk. You'll be able to find it there. And the most recent, or at least the most active recently, has been Vine for me. I do have an Instagram as well, both under @AllTarHeelDan. But Vine is where I've really been the most active most recently, and really enjoying that. So I hope you'll jump on there and join me there and connect with me there. But enough of that jibber jabber. Let's jump in. The UK game. Not a lot of people gave us a chance. I guess for good reason. I don't know. I heard a lot of people say we played good. I didn't necessarily think we played good. I think we shot the ball pretty well. We rebounded pretty well and better than we have. But I don't think that we played all that well. We were in it for, the first, I don't even want to say, not even really 20 minutes. It was a 14-point spread at the break at halftime that we were down. But it just, I don't know, I just never had the feeling that we were going to make a run, that we were really in it. And I guess it was them, it was their length. Just didn't have the same energy as some of the big games that we've played in, and even recently years. Think about the Louisville game last year, the Michigan State game last year. Some of those big upsets we had, just like from the beginning, that you could just kind of feel it, that at least it was going to be a competitive game. This one, I don't know why. Maybe it was the different atmosphere for me. I was at my parents' house for an early Christmas, so I wasn't in my normal surroundings. Maybe that's why. Maybe it was just me. I don't know. Let me know what you think. But for me, it just never felt like we were really gonna totally compete. I wouldn't say we got blown out. We only did lose by 14 points, 84-70. But it just never really felt like we were in it either. And like I said, I don't think we really played that well. We shot, hit 6 threes. Really, 4 of those came from, Marcus, kind of in one stretch in the second half. And, again, we'll talk about his kind of struggles later on in the podcast. But let's see here. Overall shooting, we shot 53%, 54% in the first half, 38% in the second half. So really, 45% overall, 46% for threes on the game, 83% for free throws on the game. So that second half, especially, we didn't even shoot well. So that obviously comes into play. We out-rebounded them 31-24, which, we've really struggled. We have been out-rebounded a lot of games. So to out-rebound a extremely tall team like Kentucky is good. But we only gave up 11 offensive rebounds for them, but they only had 13 defensive. We only had 13 defense. We had 18 offensive rebounds. So in that sense, sure, we played well there. But we had 19 turnovers to just 13 assists. whereas they had 19 assists to 15 turnovers. They had 12 steals. We had 5. So, again, those 12 steals, it's us turning the ball over. And some of them weren't even really forced. But as far as individual rebounding, JP led us with 6. I mean, if against an extremely tall team like Kentucky, if JP's going to lead us in rebounding and if it's only going to be 6, it's just not going to do it. And JP, 8 points, had 6 turnovers to 1 assist. So I wouldn't say he played well. He had 4 of our 5 steals. He just shot 3 for 8. We only had 3 people in double figures. We had Kennedy Meeks with 10 points, just 4 rebounds, all offensive. So he didn't have any defensive rebounds. And some of that is, their offensive rebounds and our defensive is they were making shots. I mean, they killed it. First half especially, they shot 6 of 12 from the 3-point line or 3-point land, and that's supposed to be their weakness, is shooting outside. So, and then the second half they didn't even have to. They only shot 3 of them. They were 1 for 3 because we had to go out and guard them because the way they hit them, and then they pounded inside. But also Bryce had 15 points, also just 4 rebounds. And then Marcus Paige, 14 points, 6 assists to 4 turnovers. And a lot of those came, like I said, he had 1 stretch in the second half where he had made like all of his 3-pointers. So there's 12 of his 14 points, like in, I would say at least 2 minutes of play right there. So, it was, I can't say it was frustrating. We played all right. I had one Kentucky fan say, and to think this is the best that North Carolina's played all year. I don't agree with that. I don't think this is the best we've played all year. I think Florida, minus the last, 3 to 5 minutes, was better than this game. We kind of let them come back at the end of that game, but we totally controlled that game. I know they're not as good a team, but I think we played much better. UCLA, like I said in that podcast, I think it was some of UCLA not being as good as advertised, but I think we played better than this. And that's not to say even that we would have beat Kentucky in those games. I'm not going to say that. You got to give them props. They're a very good team. They're all buying into the platoons and whatnot, or whatever you want to say. And they played a really great game against us. If we would have played our best, I don't know if we still would have beat them this game. But I did, also free throws. We shot 12 free throws in the game. We were 10 for 12, so that's great. They shot 31. They shot 17 just in the first half, 14 in the second half. So in both halves, they shot more than what we did for the entire game. Some of that is not us attacking, not making smart moves. I think we needed to get inside, and our big guys were fading away. I noticed that against UNCG as well. They're taking fadeaway shots, whereas they need to be getting fouled at least. Even if you don't make free throws, you get them in foul trouble. And again, it may not have mattered against Kentucky because they're so deep, but it's kind of the mindset you have to have, is to attack, and we didn't do that. And also, they're very good blocking shots. I think they lead the country in that. But we were too timid and just didn't play smart enough. But also their free throws it seemed like every time we fouled, it was on the shot. And we just weren't smart about it, weren't playing good D, weren't keeping guys in front of us. And that hurt us too in the second half when they started getting their points in the paint. Their guard would get by us, our big man would help halfway, and they just throw that little lob. As the big man, you got to kind of play cat and mouse, or just fully, go at it and try to block the lob pass. But if you fake at them, they throw that back up and tip that ball away or whatever. But we just didn't play smart D. Again, I don't think we played horrible. I just don't think we played good. I think we can play better. The sad part is I know we can beat Kentucky. I'm not giving up for the season. I don't want anybody to think that. But I don't know if both teams played their best game. I don't think we're going to win. I think if we see Kentucky in the tournament at some point or whatever, for us to beat them, it would have to be us playing like our best game and them being off. And hopefully that would be because our defense, makes them off or helps them not play as well, miss shots, whatever. But also we'd have to get some bounces to go our way, some 50-50 balls that just come to us, or some foul calls that question will go our way. They have open shots that they just don't hit, that kind of stuff. If we're going to beat them, I think that's what it's going to come down to. So, again, not to say we couldn't do it, but not a team you really want to see in the tournament unless it's in the Final Four or championship game. We did play a lot more guys, more minutes. Roy had been getting down to about 8 or 9 guys in double figures. And in the Kentucky game, he was back to 10. Let's see. Theo Pinson was up to 11. 13. For Theo Pinson. Joel Berry was at 11. Isaiah Hicks 12. Joel James played 13. And again, I'll get to him a little bit later. But and then Jackson Simmons 5. Desmond Hubert 4. So it's another 9 minutes between them. So I don't know. Justin Jackson was really off in this game, I guess, and it was just not something. I don't even know what it was. I don't think stats tell the whole story there. If you weren't watching, it kind of looks bad and whatnot. But like I said, it just never really felt like we were going to be completely competitive. I'm not saying we got blown out. I'm not saying we're done for the season. There's no hope or any of that stuff. But it just didn't feel like we were totally in the game. The atmosphere wasn't there. Like our energy just wasn't there to pull an upset that we would have to pull the upset. So, we lose 84-70 Kentucky. Now we have a 2-year break from playing Kentucky until we meet them in Las Vegas. No, it's just 1 year. It's 2 years from the home and home with them. We take next year off, and then we play Kentucky in the CBS Sports Classic, which we are playing Ohio State in this coming weekend. We play them in Vegas in 2016, and then the year after that, 2017. At least they've said. There's nothing been announced, I don't believe, but we'll start the home and home with Kentucky again then. But yeah, enough said about that game, I think. As far as Kentucky goes, if you want my input, if Louisville doesn't beat them on the 27th of December, I don't think Florida still could in the conference if anybody's going to. But again, if anybody else beats them, it's because they just didn't show up and weren't interested, and they beat themselves. There's not really going to be teams that are going to come out and compete and play with them. And hopefully that weak conference schedule hurts them and they're not completely ready for the tournament. With an experienced coach like Calipari, some experienced guys like Willie Cauley-Stein on the team, it's going to be tough, but maybe they just get used to blowing people out, and then they lose one. I wouldn't say like a Mercer, like Duke, but maybe they lose one in the tournament that they shouldn't, maybe in the third round or so. Maybe it's us. The way we're going, we're not going to be too high of a seed. But enough about the Kentucky game. Moving on to the UNC Greensboro game against Wes Miller's team. Pretty much a glorified practice for us again in this non-conference schedule. Teams that we shouldn't really be on the same court with, but it is good to get out and run, to see the guys and that stuff. It's good for them to play against somebody else. But this one was over in a hurry. So first, just starting out with minutes, looking at it, let's see. We just said we had 10 against Kentucky, and I believe it was 10 guys in double figures. 10 guys in double figures with in this game as well. Obviously, the 5 starters were all over 20, except for Kenny Meeks had 19, and then Nate Britt had 13, Theo Pinson 14, Joel Berry 16, Isaiah Hicks 14, and then Joel James 16. And then there's Jackson Simmons with 6, Desmond Huber 3, and then the rest of the, whatever you want to call it, Blue Crew, whatever. I don't even know what they're called this year, but the rest, Stillman and Coleman and Seymour had 2 each. Kennedy Meeks leading the way again, 18 points, 6 rebounds. Marcus Paige was off. He shot 1 for 8 overall, 1 for 6 from 3, 5 points. He did have 7 rebounds in this game. JP Tokoto had 6 turnovers again, just 2 assists. So another bad turnover-wise game for him. Bryce Johnson had 4 turnovers, just 8 points, 5 rebounds. And really not really, actually, the only guy besides Kennedy Meeks in double figures was Joel James, who had 11. Shot 5 for 7, just 4 rebounds. Could have been better there, but and then Isaiah Hicks had 8 points and 6 rebounds as well. So not a lot to say about this game. As it went as expected. Like I said in the last podcast, though, we need to, we know we can do it against these kind of teams. We need to now step it up and beat the top caliber teams. We need a good non-conference win. Florida could turn out to look like a decent win. UCLA possibly. Trying to think who our other non-conference wins were. The rest of them, expected. Plus, we had the loss to Butler, the loss to Iowa, who people didn't expect us to lose to. So we need to step it up. This game this weekend obviously becomes very important. Beating Ohio State. But, as far as this game goes, we put it away. We put it away early. Just 3 3-pointers for us. We were 3 for 14 shooting. Joel Perry hit his second to make him like 2 for 13 on the season. We still had 17 turnovers in this game, just 16 assists. We did out-rebound on 51-26, but again, looking who we played, it's the way it should be. And really, for our 17 turnovers, we only forced, or they only had 13 turnovers. So that's not really stellar play. There was definitely some sloppy play by us in this game. And just I don't know, just kind of cruising. They're talking to UNC fans. We kind of need a bully or an enforcer or somebody like this on this team. And I don't know if we have the right guy. I think there's some really nice guys. I think Meeks has got a great personality. We know Joel James about his personality. We know Stillman White's a Mormon, nice guy. Justin Jackson looks like a very humble, nice guy. Marcus Paige, we know about him. Great kid. But we need somebody, and Bryce Johnson's mentioned he wants to kind of step up and be that, but I don't know that he's really got the personality or the mindset to do that either. I don't know who it is. Maybe Theo Pinson. I don't want to call anybody a thug or whatever, but, to have come out and just kind of be, I think I heard this comparison somewhere else. I don't remember where, but be kind of like, now I'm going to forget his name. Julius Hodge from NC State, where he just kind of had that swagger and whatnot. Maybe Theo Pinson's the one that needs to step up and kind of bring that to us. I don't know. But, enough about UNC Greensboro. We definitely need some toughness no matter what. That's pretty obvious, I would say. But that leads us into the Ohio State game. This is part of the CBS Sports Classic. Terrible, terrible name. It's very similar to the Champions Classic that Duke and Kentucky and Michigan State and I'm forgetting the last team in there, but you know what I'm talking about. It's like that, where there's 4 teams in. They're going to play round robin each year. We got Ohio State this year, UCLA next year, and then Kentucky the following year. So this week or this year, it's in Chicago, Illinois. We play at 1 p.m. Eastern on CBS on Saturday. So the early game. I don't know a ton about Ohio State. I've seen, I think maybe 2 little bits of 2 of their games. What I do know is they beat us out for. Now I'm going to forget his name too. I want to say DeMarcus Russell, but I think that's the football player, or was the football player. But they beat us out for this recruit, and he's a heck of a shooter. He could have really helped us. He's their best player as a freshman. They are ranked higher. I just saw the rankings. I know we're still at 24, which I don't even know how we're still ranked. I guess, losing Kentucky shouldn't really hurt you in the ranking because you should be expected to. But I think Ohio State's ranked around 10 to 13 range, and we're at 24. So it would be a good win for us. I think it's something that we can. They will more than likely have more of a home crowd being in Chicago and closer to Columbus than we are to Chapel Hill. But we know there are Tar Heel fans everywhere. We know we travel well. So hopefully it's pretty even, and hopefully there's a great atmosphere. Hopefully we come out ready to play in a big game, because this would be a big win for us. I don't know enough beyond their shooter there that what Ohio State has. I know they've lost a lot. So it'll be interesting. It should be a good game, one to watch for. And just while we're talking about watching games, I would love if you're at the games, especially, but even watching at home, wearing your lucky hat, lucky shirt, slippers, whatever it is. Snap a picture, put it up on Twitter, Vine, well, if it's a video, Instagram, Google Plus, Facebook, any of those, and use the hashtag UNC live. It's just hashtag and then UNCLIVE, and then all goes to a tag board that I've set up, and then anybody or all the pictures that use that hashtag are all in one place throughout all the social medias, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Vine, Google Plus. I don't know if I'm missing any there, but any social media, if it's got that hashtag, it goes up on that tag board. It's pretty neat. Definitely go check it out. Use that hashtag if you're at games taking pictures, if you're posting, or your pregame shot, whatever it is. And then also as you're watching the game or postgame, I've been using Vine a lot. And if you want to follow me on Vine, it's all Tar Heel Dan. But I post up videos of all the highlights as we're going. I put them on Twitter as well. So if you're following me on Twitter there, that's at all Tar Heel Dan as well. So you'll see them on Twitter, but it's pretty neat. It's been going well. People seem to enjoy it. So be looking for that if that's something you think you would like to see as the game's going on. See the looping highlights and replays of those kind of plays. So let me know what you think. Connect with me, that kind of stuff. But what I wanted to end this podcast with, is spending a little bit of time talking about Joel James, kind of his role on the team, and Marcus Paige. There's been a lot of talk about Joel James and his role and his playing time the last couple games, especially as he got double-figure minutes against Kentucky and Greensboro. He seems like a great kid. I love Joel James, his personality, and just that he seems real out there. But I don't love kind of how he's come along. By that I mean, he came in as a project. He's only been playing basketball since like a sophomore in high school. I realize that. I know that. And it's great to have some of those projects every once in a while and whatnot. But he's a junior now, and he hasn't shown a whole lot of improvement. Sure, he looked good against Greensboro this last game. Had 11 points, shot 5 for 7. Had a running hook. He had a turnaround jumper. But if there is anybody that has confidence that when he shoots the ball, it's going in, please let me know. Because anytime he shoots the ball, I just close my eyes. I'm like, oh my God, who's going to get this rebound? I just have no confidence whatsoever in him. Defensively, he's not good for as big as the body he is. He's not as good a rebounder as he should be. And really my take on it is again, like I said, it's great to have projects. It's great to work with guys, and he seems like a good guy and great personality and all that stuff. But you should not be a project as a junior. If you haven't improved enough to be beyond a project as a junior, then you're not really a project anymore. You just are what you are. Can you get better and improve? Probably. Is it going to be enough to make a significant difference? Probably not. So let me know what you think. Hit me up, Twitter, email, comments of YouTube, whatever it is. Let me know what your take on Joel James is, because give him a couple minutes. You know, I really like if he's playing 10 minutes, I would say split that with Desmond Hubert. Desmond Hubert at least plays defense. Are we going to get any offense from him? No, we know that. Like again, he's not a project. We just know what we're going to get from Desmond Hubert. And to me, that's really where Joel James is now. He's not a project anymore. He is what he is. We know what we're going to get. You know, let Hubert get some block shots, put back dunks, rebounds, and whatnot. Let them split minutes. I don't know. He just must be spectacular in practice or something, because I don't see it. And I'm not trying to diss Roy or say he needs to be fired by any means. He knows basketball a heck of a lot better and more than I do. But not seeing it on the court, it must be all in practice. And again, part of that is you have to take what you can do in practice and do it in a game. If you can't, then again, as a junior in college, you kind of are what you are, and you live with that. So there's my rant on Joel James. Again, I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. I've given you all the places that you can connect with me. The other part is Marcus Paige. Not obviously his role on the team, but kind of his recent struggles. I was talking with, actually happened to be a Kentucky fan, but one of my buddies, and you know, he was obviously rubbing it in again about the Kentucky game and stuff. And he's like, "Oh, you guys played well," and I was like, "Well, we shot well, and we, you know, and we rebounded well, but I don't think we played well." And we were talking about Marcus Paige, and he said, "Well, you know, he hit his threes," but I said, "Well, he had one stretch where he hit 4 threes, but that's about it. So he was really relevant in the game for, 2 to 5 minutes." He said, "Well, you know," and he was talking about Marcus, that's the only time he looked for a shot. The rest he just, he wasn't selfish enough. And people have said that all the way going back to last year too, is he just had to be more selfish, look for his shot more. And I don't even know if that's the case. Obviously it is to some point, because he is our best player. Roy's been saying it, guys need to screen more for him and get the ball moving so he gets open looks. But to me, I think it's Marcus is still trying to figure out when he needs to, I don't want to say force it, but when he needs to take over and take his shot and look for his shot, and when he still hasn't found that balance of getting other guys involved to going strong and taking himself or taking over the game by himself. And I don't know, he doesn't really have the personality to take over a game. We know he can. We saw it last year. I don't think he wants that. I think he wants a balanced team. He is so unselfish and such a team guy, and really to a fault. So we really need him to figure that out. And other guys have to be more consistent so he knows. We've seen Bryce with good games and good halves. We've seen Meeks with good games. JP with all-around games. We've seen Justin Jackson be able to score. But, if they're not, I don't know, maybe that's, if they're all contributing, then Marcus just has to do his part, and he doesn't have to go out and get 27. He just has to get, 16 to 18 or whatever. And I think just game to game we're so inconsistent, and it throws him off. I don't know if he's the reason we're inconsistent or he's inconsistent because everybody else is. And he, you can't go and, hey, this game I'm going to just throw up my shots, and the next game, hey guys, help me out. So it's definitely something we need to figure out as Tar Heel Nation, as UNC basketball. Obviously, I trust Roy enough. I trust Marcus enough to do so. And again, hopefully we improve on that. And yeah, we need a win this Saturday. That's really what it comes down to. We need this non-conference win. As tough as Virginia's looking in conference, Louisville's looking in conference, Duke, obviously. I don't want to be people saying there's a tier of, Duke's the best team. Louisville and Virginia are really good and right there with them. And then, UNC gets lumped in with the 4 through, 8th, 9th best team. We need to start separating ourselves and make sure we're kind of in that top tier instead of getting lumped in the next group. So Again, my 2 cents, my rant. Love to hear feedback from you. Let me know. Again, I'll just throw it up there. My Twitter is alltarheeldan. Google Plus is Dan DeWitt. The blog is where I put up a lot of post-game and weekly press conferences, interviews with the guys. Not my own, not trying to take credit for it, but I also put the Vine highlights from there from each game and just other related Tar Heel basketball stuff. My email you can use anytime is unchoopstalk@gmail.com. The YouTube channel is UNC Hoopstalk, youtube.com/UNC Hoopstalk. The Vine and Instagram, all Tar Heel Dan. Again, go ahead and connect with me there and watch especially the Vines throughout the season there and all the highlights. And make sure and go on iTunes if you want to take the audio of this and not look at my ugly mug every week, but take the audio and subscribe, leave a review on iTunes. I would greatly appreciate that. But just search UNC Hoopstock on the podcast catcher or app of Apple, and hopefully we're coming to Stitcher soon as well. But that really does it here. Don't forget to use hashtag UNC Live for UNC basketball photos, so really any sport. Connect with me. Let's unite as Tar Heel Nation. And other than that, until next time, go Heels.